Israel Adesanya finally gets the win over Alex Pereira. They're 3-1 now, and he does it in pretty impressive fashion. That knockout was wild, and you know what? I'm kind of late to this video, like a few hours late. Everybody else already got all kinds of videos up. I just got back to the place, and I'm flying back home tomorrow. It's weird. It's pretty early in the morning. At least I'm on like Miami time, like the whole time zone. But great card. Honestly, I was there for the entire thing. It was very fun, very entertaining card. Lots of crazy finishes, lots of pretty cool fights as well. And sad Carl Williams got taken off. I don't even remember that happening. The Carl Williams versus Chase Sherman. I don't even know what happened. All I knew was that Cynthia Calvillo versus Lupe Godinez is late, and then it kind of hit me like, oh, one of the prelims got taken off. I didn't know which one though, so I was worried. It's like, oh, maybe Chris Curtis and Kelvin Gastelum got taken off. I was not ready for that, and there was no service either, so my best. So I couldn't really check like which fight got canceled, but then Miroshar versus Piper got announced. So I was like, okay, Carl Williams, Chase Sherman got taken off. So yeah, kind of sad there. I was really looking forward to seeing Carl Williams, but I guess it is what it is. The card was pretty good regardless, but it's not about the card. This is about Adesanya mainly and his fight with Pereira. And oh my god, I was so unbelievably shocked. Everybody was out of their seats, and bro, I couldn't like speak for a few minutes. I was just speechless. I didn't even know what to say about it. It's not that I didn't expect it. Listen, right? I don't know what it was about this fight, but at no point was I thinking this in the lead up, not even fight week, fight day, not even when the fight first got announced, but for some reason, as soon as the bell rang and the first round started between Adesanya and Pereira for this fight, I just had this image, not even this image, just this thing that kept replaying and replaying over and over again in my head. It was just Pereira getting knocked out cold, replaying over and over again in my head. It was like, oh shit, and I started to believe it. That was the first round, and then the second round, it happens. It actually happens, and it happens exactly how I had, like, I don't, how do you call that, like, envisioned it. Is that the word? Like, exactly how I envisioned it. The same, he felt the same way, head moved the same way, out cold the same way. It was wild. It was wild. I don't even know why that happened. Like, I had gotten a vision on like 10 minutes notice, 10 minutes before it was meant to actually happen. When has that happened to anybody for any fight? you know I don't even know. At no point in the lead up, um at any point in the lead up, in the build up to this fight, nothing, bro. But as soon as they got in the octagon, not even as soon as they got in the octagon, just when the bell rang for the first round, and then I don't even know. But good win for Adesanya there. Honestly, he was winning the first round. The first round was kind of like a feeling out process, which feeling out process. This is your guys' fourth fight. I think you guys have felt each other enough times. I think you guys kind of know what to expect. But at the same time, I think you would approach your fourth fight differently to how you would approach your third, second, and first. So you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. There's kind of two sides to the spectrum, I guess, and maybe they need to feel out, the new approach of the opponent, what they've learned now, what they're gonna bring to the table, maybe even. So maybe I'm wrong, but four fights is pretty wild regardless. And so Izzy, in the first round, was kind of feeling out. Izzy did win that round in my opinion. Landed the more strikes in my opinion, and landed the more significant ones as well. Even though kind of nothing in that round was significant regardless. Second round was definitely a Pereira round up until the knockout. It was Pereira had more control of that fight, more control of the strikes, had the more significant strikes in the second round, and then I got Adesanya a little bit in trouble in some of the exchanges there. Got Adesanya in trouble again. Was had a little bit of a combo going for him as well. Knee, another hook, and then got countered, and then that was just kind of it. It was kind of the same way that at the end of the first round for the third fight, when Adesanya came in with the overhand right and then the left hook at the end of the round, kind of played out that same way, except Adesanya got the exact same overhand right. Pereira gets up the exact same way. Adesanya does it again. I'm pretty sure that's the shot that put him out. I think, but there was one more shot as Pereira was falling. No, there were like two more shots. Pereira was falling, but one of them was on another button on the chin, and then that one he hit the floor after that, and he hit his head pretty hard too. And then that's when it looked like he was out. And yeah, yeah. I don't know which strike really sent him out, but one of them did. That's all we know is that one of them definitely did. And then the follow up shot was just Adesanya said this is just years of built up anger, frustration, and animosity. Lets it all out there, and that's I was about to say that's the end. That can't be the end, and I'm gonna get into that. But also, people forget that Adesanya does have power. People don't talk about how Adesanya does truly have power. He just never uses it. If you guys have seen any of Adesanya's kickboxing career, the fights in his kickboxing, anything like that, you know that guy can hit. That guy hits decently hard. If you've seen any of the fights that he truly needs to win, like truly needs to get that finish, he gets it. The fight with Kelvin Gastelum, he showed his power, got multiple knockdowns. The fight with Robert Whitaker put him out in the second round badly. His debut fights, his first couple fights, you kind of need to get finishes in those fights if you want to be a star. He got it, right? Because that's exactly what he needed. In fights that he can coast, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori, Yoel Romero, fights that that he has that option to just vacation, he'll do it. He'll do it. If he doesn't need to put that extreme amount of force or pressure, he can just leg kick his way into an easy decision, right? He said this in his post fight. He said, people, if you know me, I love my vacations, but you also, if you know me, you'd know that for this fight, I couldn't take no vacation. Of course, Adesanya wasn't going to take no vacation in that war against Gastelum, or in the first title fight with Robert Whitaker, or even in the third fight with Pereira. Adesanya almost had Pereira out the same way he had him out in this fourth fight. And the only reason it kept being boring was because Adesanya got too confident, way too confident in his abilities. Like, okay, I can coast this one too now because now I'm certain of me being able to win this time. Obviously, that's not what happened because he ended up getting finished. Couldn't play around at all this time around, and had to go for the finish regardless. So Adesanya does have power, but only when he needs to use it. Only when he needs to use it. He's also got a pretty good chin on him as well. So, but also I was talking about, I was gonna bring this up later, but I'm gonna bring up now. Listen, the narrative, and I know the reaction of a lot of people for this fight was finally Adesanya finally beat Pereira. Okay, now we're gonna move on. Okay, now we can go on to something else because Adesanya finally beat Pereira. Hold up. Pause for a second, because Adesanya and Pereira, or Pereira Adesanya, they're 3-1 right now on total wins, right? They're 2-1 right now on total finishes, with Pereira having the advantage there. And if we want to talk about being knocked out cold, then they're still only 1-1. So where do you go from there? You can't stop. You cannot stop here. Finally, the golden boy, the guy Adesanya, now he finally gets his win. Okay, now I can stop. No, this is not Nunes versus Pena 3 where you really could have stopped but kept going. Nah, now this is that thing where you shouldn't stop, but are you going to? You really shouldn't. That's the thing. This is not Nunez versus Pena 3 where the trilogy shouldn't be happening. This is Adesanya versus Pereira 5 where the fifth fight does need to happen. Pena wants to talk about, okay, since when do we go 1-1 and then stop? Okay, but for Pereira, since when do we go 3-1 with Pereira winning? all three of the first fights and then Adesanya winning one at the end and then stop there. That's not how it works. You want to talk about, oh, but Pereira just got knocked out cold. Pereira knocked Izzy out cold as well. Do y'all not remember that? Okay, but that was so long ago, a couple years ago. Okay, but Pereira also finished Izzy how much longer ago? They're both knockouts. They're both knockouts. If you want to talk about UFC wins, okay, they're 1-1 in the UFC. They're 1-1 on knockouts in the UFC. Make the third fight. People want to talk about Whitaker versus Adesanya 3. All respect to Whitaker. Whitaker's an incredible fighter, but 2-0 Izzy on Whitaker versus 3-1 Pereira on Izzy. Who deserves it more? It's gonna be the guy who has 3 wins over Izzy versus the guy who has 2 losses to Izzy. You know, it just wouldn't really make sense to run that one back, especially since he's only won against Marvin Vettori since then. I think at least have one more fight, but who would he fight? That's another thing. Maybe fight Pereira. Maybe, who knows? But I feel like you can't stop here. You really can't. And all the people in the comments who say that, like, or people online who say that, like, they should stop here, I truly want to know your reasoning, because it doesn't make sense to just stop right here. They really should go for the trilogy, 5th fight, whatever it may be. You know what? And if Adesanya wins the UFC trilogy, even if they're 3-2, I feel like just whoever wins this last fight just wins the whole thing. You know. Yeah. Adesanya in this whole like 4 fights, I think he proved to us that overall he is just a slightly better fighter. He has he's a bit faster. He's a bit more, I guess, accurate, at least in the fights with Pereira. But Pereira, he's the much more powerful man. He's got much more dog in him as well, and he's also got two extra wins over Izzy. So what does that tell you? It just tells you need to run it back. If you disagree with me, I truly want to know your reasoning, because who else are they going to have Adesanya fight that wouldn't end up becoming just either another boring match or would just be giving it to a guy who doesn't deserve it, you know? But that's just me. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Masvidal too. Masvidal retiring, and, you know, it was sad, but at least I got to see Masvidal's last fight in person, because Masvidal is my favorite fighter. So it was sad to see him go, but seeing it in person was definitely a great opportunity. It was definitely a nice privilege. So very happy I got to see that as well. Yeah, Gilbert Burns also 2 wins over number 11 and number 12 Bilal Muhammad. In his past 3 wins, they were against guys that currently right now are ranked higher than both of Gilbert Burns' last 2 opponents. Bilal Muhammad deserves it more than Colby Covington. Gilbert Burns deserves it more than Colby Covington. Let's be real. Colby Covington shouldn't be getting this title shot. People have been talking about, like, oh, he probably has dirt on Dana. Yeah, he probably does. Maybe. I don't want to take anything as a fact, or I don't like making assumptions either. I'm just saying, like, maybe it's possible. Everything's possible, but, like, it'd be kind of funny if that was the case. And if that wasn't the case, then I truly, like, I feel like that'd be probably worse, because then Dana White would truly believe that Colby Covington should be next in line. And that's levels worse, unless the blackmail or the like alleged or like speculated blackmail really is that bad. Who knows? Maybe I'm crazy, but Bilal Muhammad should get that title shot. Bilal Muhammad's the GOAT, man. Bilal Muhammad's the GOAT. He should get it. Gilbert Burns, I like him, but he definitely does not deserve any kind of title shot anytime soon. I like to talk about a lot about top 10 wins. Colby Covington and Gilbert Burns combined have a total 0 current top 10 wins at welterweight. Bilal Muhammad has a current total combined top 10 wins of 3. That's Bilal Muhammad. That's more than Colby and Gilbert Burns and Shavkat Rakhmonov combined. Because combined, they all have 1. Bilal has triple that, 300% more. What does that tell you? It tells you that he's next. I like the shirt that he was wearing too. I like that he was there. It was pretty cool. Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis just this guy. I don't know, man. Loses to Jack Hermanson, loses to Kelvin Gastelum. Very odd losses. I don't know. Like he can knock out Brendan Allen, he can knock out Joaquin Buckley. Can't beat Chris Curtis. I mean, can't beat Kelvin Gastelum or Jack Hermanson. It's just like two very old guys who are not very high level anymore. But Kelvin Gastelum, he's a cool guy, man. Everybody like gives the Gastelum a lot of shit, and maybe they're right too. But also Gastelum, he's just such a chill guy, man. That guy's so chill. His post fight interview was really nice. Rob Font proved a lot of people wrong. I was truly really happy for him when he got that first round knockout win. I felt so bad for Yanez, but I felt so like happy for Font really, bro, because he had a lot of doubters coming into this fight. Also in his last fight with Chito Vera, that of course it does a lot of damage to you physically, but mentally it's got to take a heavy toll. So getting this win, that must have been really good for him there. Also, Yanez, he's another one of those fighters like Jack Della Maddalena. Like, just bringing it up as an example, Jack Della Maddalena is a really skilled fighter. He's a really good striker as well. But, like, I'm just saying, bringing him up as an example because if you all remember, Della Maddalena entered the rankings off of beating Randy Brown. Nobody left the rankings. Nobody, like, retired or lost or anything like that. He just replaced Li Jingliang just because UFC put him up there, you know. Same thing that happened with Adrian Yanez. He didn't beat anybody that was ranked, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly, he entered the rankings off of beating Tony Kelly, who left the UFC right after that fight. So he still got 0 top 15 wins, even at the time of fighting him. So, yeah, I don't know who he would fight next. I think at that point, I like to talk about rankings, but he should probably fight someone unranked at that point. I feel like someone brought up who did they bring up? Someone brought up like a David Basharat. I don't know about that. I forgot who they brought up. Someone brought up for Raul Rosas as well. Raul Rosas lost. Someone brought up like a Trevin Jones for one of them. Christian Rodriguez, man. I'm really happy for him honestly because whole world was expecting him to lose and then he pulled it off. That was really nice. Rosas took a loss very early in his career, man. He's a very young guy. We'll see how he reacts to it. You know, a lot of people, they say like after becoming undefeated, a lot of people, you know, they change up, but this was pretty early in Rosas' career, so I don't think it would change it too much, but also have to factor in how young he is and how early in his career he is, but also at that he's at the top of the world right now, fighting on main cards, pay-per-view cards. You got to pay $80 to see this guy now. So it's different. It is different. So who knows, but I think Rosas will come back much better. He's definitely got a lot of room to improve, and since he is so young, he's got a lot of time to improve as well. So just yeah, man. Also, what was the other one? Kevin Hahn versus Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio is just not the same fighter, man. It's really sad to see him go out that way. Someone that I rooted for a couple years back, but you know, just now it's like he's very much not the same fighter. It's kind of sad to see him kind of go out this way. Kevin Hahn was gonna win that fight regardless, whether it was by decision or by that finish, but I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is that Kevin Hahn was the only one to get me. Kevin Hahn was the only pick I got right for that card, so good for me, I guess, and good for Kevin Hahn because that's a pretty good win. That's a win like right outside the top 15. That's a top 20 win right there. Kevin Hahn is very much in the top 20 now for sure. And now that Masvidal is retiring, it's gonna leave another space there for welterweight. Who do I think should fill it up is Li Jingliang, the guy that De La Maddalena replaced at number 14. Jingliang should come back, but there's also the fact that D-Rod beat him, even though it was a robbery. But just having that over him is also, you know, there as well. I want to talk about along the lines of that, Gerald Meerschaert should have been fighting Brad Tavares, not Joe Pyfer. Gerald Meerschaert beat Bruno Silva, right? But now Bruno Silva gets to fight Brad Tavares, who just left the top 15 at middleweight. Gets to fight him, the higher ranks guy. Meanwhile, Gerald Meerschaert has to fight the up and comer, crazy guy on hype train, Joe Pyfer. Nothing against Joe Pfeiffer. I think he's a really cool guy. I think his story is really inspirational. I thought his walkout song was really cool too. I really like that. But Mearshart should have been fighting Brad Tavares. Mearshart should have very much been fighting Brad Tavares. I don't know why Bruno Silva got that opportunity and Gerald Mearshart not, but should have been Bruno Silva versus Joe Pfeiffer instead. But yeah, sad to see Gerald Mearshart go out like that. You know, the GOAT GM3. But yeah, that's kind of it for the card. This is a very long video. Usually, I don't make immediate reaction videos this long, but there was just a lot to talk about. A lot of things. That's what happens when you stack up a card. There's a lot that needs to be said. A lot of that needs to be said about the future. A lot that needs to be said about the fights. Yeah, very fun card. Very, very, very fun card. My review, I'll try to bring it out soon. I'll try, man. And I have to catch up on a lot of Chico Weekly, so I'm gonna put those all out as quick as I can, really. Uh, yeah, man. Good card, good win for Adesanya, but you've got to make the fifth fight. And if you don't think so, please convince me why not. Please.